Hello, my name's James. I'm a portrait photographer from Portsmouth in the UK. You've probably not heard of me. Welcome to my studio. Today we're going to be showing you how we work with a white background and how we create white background portraits using different lights. We're going to try and use it one light, going to try doing using two lights, try doing it using three lights, and then try and do it using multiple lights. I'm going to show you how we can achieve different results on a white background portrait. Come with me. We've got a real Ghostbuster here. Say hello to Ian. He's over here in the darkness. He's not going to be in the darkness for long because the first light we're going to show you how to use is something you can acquire. The kids tell me this is a TikTok light. I believe it's a constant ring light is what I would call it. It's attached to the power there, and if I didn't have any flashlights, this is possibly one option that a lot of people have that can work well in studio in terms of trying to take a portrait with a white background. In order to eliminate the shadows that are going to come off this ring light, when the ring light hits Ian there, it's going to create shadows on the background all around him. The further he is away from the background, if he comes over here from the background, that shadow gets quite broad on the background there. And if he goes a little bit closer, it starts becoming more refined. So I'm just going to keep him nice and close to the background there and move this ring light fairly close to him here. And I'm going to lift it up just slightly so it's above the nose. That's really where I want the light to be. I want it to be above the light, nose shining down, so we get a much more natural fall of light coming onto the face, mimicking what the sun does in nature. The sun comes at us from above, so there's like a much more natural portrait. In terms of where I'm going to stand, I'm going to come in here and through the ring, slightly wider on the angle here. I've switched my camera to aperture priority. So the camera is shooting at around about f5.6. I've moved my ISO up to around about 1600. And there's Ian with the pose, 3, 2, 1. And Ghostbuster Ian gives us our first portrait on a white background using a single consistent light source. That's the LED ring light there. So I'm a professional photographer working in a professional studio. And that is an absolute fail-safe that I would use in a situation where I didn't have any flashlights, I didn't have any professional equipment. I would sort of use that and work with moving closer and further away from the background to achieve different results. But we want to get onto a sort of like a more professional level, and we want to start using flashlights. You may have speed lights as part of your kit. You may have professional flash heads as part of your kit. We're going to show you how you just use strobes, how you use flash photography to create white background portraits. So what do we do if we're working with a single strobe? Pretty much the same principle that we use with the ring light there is the approach I would take. The first light we've got here is an Electron D light. This is the RX4. They're really easy to come by online, and they're a super affordable light source here that you can sort of purchase. If you want to purchase for your first studio light, you find loads of these secondhand online, and they'd be really affordable. The softbox here is an octabox. It's a smaller octabox, around about sort of like a 90 centimeter octabox there. So that means, I always say with softboxes, generally the size of the softbox relates to the size of the subject you're photographing. So if we're photographing Ian here from the top to around about sort of halfway, a half-length portrait, round about down to the waist, that's roughly the size of this softbox. If we put it next to Ian here, we can see it's roughly the same sort of size, so we're going to get that even light spread across from here. But keeping it nice and simple, we're just going to bring our softbox here and put it in roughly the same position that our ring light was on the very first shot. Now we need to change the settings in camera, so we need to move ourselves as I untangle my camera very professionally, because we're live tethering, so I want to let you see the images as they pop up. We're going to change our settings on the camera, so we're going to move to a manual setup. I'm going to change my ISO back up to 100. And we are going to change our shutter speed to 160th, and we're going to go roughly around about f8 here. I'm going to guess from here, if I put my power on this Electron light to 4.0, the power on the Electron lights range from 2.0 to 6.0. On most speed lights, they'll start off at 1 of 1 power. That's a different scale altogether, and then they come down. So they go from 1 of 1 to 1/2 to 1/4 to 1/8 to 1/16 to 1/32, etc., decreasing the power by 3 stops all the way down. These Elinchrom heads decrease it in sort of like a decimal range. So to come down from 4 to 3, I can come down in 1/10 of a stop either time. Different systems for different courses, whatever floats your boat. They all roughly do the same thing. They just displayed in different ways. I'm going to angle my light down there just very slightly on the 45 degree, have it just up and above there, but right in front. Make sure that my transmitter is switched to on the top of the camera there, so that the Elinchrom is showing, the Elinchrom is scanning, the Elinchrom will have found our light at the top there. It will now communicate. I can take a test shot there. And I know roughly at this power, 4.0, I reckon at f8, 160 per second, ISO 100, I should get a clean portrait. Let's have a look. 3, 2, 1, go. Let's have a look at our Ghostbuster there. That's not bad at all for a guesstimate. Time is of the essence, so we're not light metering today, but that's a decent guess. If it's too bright, that light's too powerful, so you just bring the power down. If it's too dark, the light's not powerful enough, you bring the light up, and you can adjust apertures and ISOs. The reason why I chose f8 is because it's right slap bang in the middle, which means for a portrait, I'm going to get good details throughout, focus on the eyes, but then the face and all the other features within this shot are going to remain in focus. Let's concentrate on lighting. That's our one light setup for a white background. That's what I would do there. I would just bring the light in there, right in front of the subject, shooting down. What do we do if we have access to 2 lights low? Let's add a second light in there. Well, there are 2 things we can do here to add a second light. First of all, we're going to get Ian to come off of the background here a little bit further and stand there. He's the same distance away from this light as he was on the back wall, but look at what happens to that back wall when we take the same portrait here with a different pose. 3, 2, well, that's good. 3, 2, 1, go. Lovely. With that pose there, you can see that our backdrop is now no longer white, because the main light, the only light that we've used in this shot, has come further away from the background, meaning that there's more fall off, which means in relation to the inverse square law, there is less light, or less powerful light hitting that backdrop and reflecting back, which means it now looks grey where it previously looked white. So for the second light, I may choose to, in this instance, employ it to go onto the background to give me a cleaner, crisper white background. And that means it needs to be more powerful than my main light here. It needs to overexpose the main light to really make that backdrop look bright white. In this instance, what I'm going to do is I'm going to employ a second Elinchrom dig light, come past Ian here. I'm going to employ a second one here. And because our main light is at 4.0, we're going to pop this one up to 6.0. That means that it's 2 stops more exposed than our main light, which means when it's skimming across the background there, which it is nice and simple, one skimmed light across the background, it should give us an even distribution from right to left, rather than being pointed directly into the background where they would just fall off. Got a look at there, different pose, 3, 2, and 1. Love it. Perfect, as I try and kick over the light. So let's have a look at the difference between those 2 shots. This is what happens. This is with one light here with the dark grey background. Switch it with that one there. We have popped into that background, got a nice pop. If we were to analyse that background, however, we would see that there would be fall off from right to left. It would be more powerful on this right hand side and less powerful on the left. So to avoid that, I'm going to amend and just change this background light slightly, and I'm going to do that by using this. This is a little bayonet cap, and we're going to switch lights and employ different second light here. We just realised that was attached to the wall and it won't come over. So this one here is the Elinchrom 1, and it is completely wireless, which means that there's no wires, nothing tailoring it or tethering it to the wall. And we're just going to whack that up there, 4.3, okay? nice and bright there, and we're just going to see that's going to be roughly the same power, more or less, as our main light here. We placed it right behind Ian, here and close to the wall, so that when I bring my camera position round in front of Ian, we will not see that light because it's right behind it. So it'll be working, but it won't be shot. And what it should do, because it's pointing straight at that background, is it should give us a nice distribution of light from the center outwards and be a lot flatter and more even than the previous example. Different pose there for me. Let's get the gun up this time there for me if you can, Ian. Lovely. Looking straight to straight down the middle of the lens. I like it. 3, 2, and 1. So you'll see here that background light is working, but we can't see it even though it's directly behind us and in the picture. Just take a little shot of Ian here, and Ian stand to the side. There's the light there. Stand in front of it. I'm going to angle that light up just a fraction, just a small angle up, because I can see a little vignette at the top. And we're going to go nice and high. Same with the gun there for me. Straight down towards me. 3, 2, and 1. Beautiful. Simple shot. Look at that. And by pointing it up there, we can now see that we've got a nice bright white background. So what do we do if we have 3 lights at our disposal? 3 lights to work with? Well, there's 3 ways, there's a few ways that you can approach this. The first way would be to employ 1 light on the right hand side and the second light on the left hand side. We're going to use 2 panoramic softboxes. We're going to even the lights so they're putting out at the same power, and they're both going to be turned and feathered towards that background wall so that they are feathering the light across to give us an even white background across the back there. Ian's going to do the same pose again there for me with the gun. Just hold it in front of you actually this time rather than pointing it towards you there for me. Chin down, just a fraction there for me. 3, 2, and 1. Haven't changed any settings, we're still shooting it at 30, but we should be achieving a very similar result there with the background lights as we did with the previous one straight behind. So to my mind, if we're utilising, you've got 3 lights to work with, we're lucky enough to work with 3 lights, it's a good way to use 2 lights on the background to create an even spill of lights. There's less post-processing that you would need to do afterwards. Less post-processing of that background to try and clean things up, or cutting out, or using all of your software there to create generic backgrounds. You want a nice flat background to do that. So if I've only got 3 lights at my disposal, I'm using 2 of them at the background and only 1 of them on the foreground, I might want to go back and do my 2 lights set up previously where we had the light right behind Ian, so we know that we can't see it. It's given us an even distribution of light, and then utilise that 3rd light on Ian himself. Let's see how we can do that now. So we'll take the panoramic off of this softbox here, and we'll change it up for our dish again. So we'll go back to our reflector cup, and we'll go back to popping that right behind Ian here. Now we're going to utilise a fill light, which will be this light here. This is one of our electrons again, but with a power pack. So it has got a lead, but it's not a lead that goes into a wall. This is a lead that just goes straight to a power pack here. We've got a small softbox on this one, and what I'm going to do here is I'm going to pop this softbox up nice and high and put the power down maybe a stop and a half, 2.5. So I'm going to put it a stop and a half lower than my key light, which I'm now going to move to the side to give me a more directional light source for my key light. So now I'm figuring out how I best want to light Ian's face to create nice shapes of form and contrast around the picture as our camera person walks into a table there. Ian's going to point the gun straight towards me. Key light firing in from the right hand side. Feel like filling in the shadows on this side here. Background light right behind him. Nice expression. We can't see the background light. Should be white. 3, 2, 1, go. And now we're working with a white background, but we've managed to create a shot that has less shadows than the previous one. Can we see that? and then it sort of fills the shadows in there to give us a more professional output. Last one here for what we can do if we're working with 4 lights for this setup. White background portrait with 4 lights. We're going to move this light to the background here. On the side, 45 degrees, pointing in towards Ian there. Second light here is going to do exactly the same, but on the opposite side. So it's going to come in here at 45 degrees. So if we stand in where it's going to be stood, we can see we've got one light coming in here and one light coming in here. Kicker lights, rim lights, whatever you want to call them, that's what they are. And what they're going to do is create a highlight around Ian's head that's going to separate him from the background. I'm going to dull down the background light by 2 stops. The reason for that is that I don't want the background light now to be bright white. And the reason why I don't want it to be bright white is because with these kicker lights, we're going to have bright white areas around the side of the face and the neck and the shoulders and everything like that. If they're white and the background's bright white, they're going to blend into each other, which is going to be harder to sort of cut out, and there's going to be no separation between the two. They're just going to blend in, which isn't great photography in terms of what we're trying to achieve with high-end portraits. That means we're sacrificing everything to just put the one key light on Ian here, which we're going to try and get as close as possible to straight up and straight over, exactly where we started with this one light, with the one light part of this workshop. Ian's going to do some really cool pose there for me, just like that. Yeah, perfect. 3, 2, and 1. And all of those lights should have fired off together. Perfect. Hold the gun right across you there for me now if we can. We're just going to really highlight this by going closer. 3, 2, 1, go. Perfect. So now we have beautiful. Really nice shot there. One more. I'm just going to dull down with my background still just a little bit bright. I want a little bit of background light on there, but not as much as we're getting. Same shot again there for me if we can, Ian, but this time with the gun a bit more across you. That's lovely. 3, 2, there you go. That's the one. Now we can see it. Beautiful. So we've dialed down that background light just a little bit to give us a small vignette in the background. That means that these white areas where they're highlighted at the sides there have gone into bright white, but are still separated from the background, which is slightly darker than Ian there. Last thing I'm going to show you here is just a really, really simple way to create a dynamic portrait with just 2 lights on a white background. So we're going to take off both of our kicker lights here. They're going to be turned off. Come with me and come and see this background light here. The background light here, I'm going to dial the power back up now, but I'm going to move it closer to the background here. So there's really 80 centimeters distance there between that background light and the wall, the background itself. If we just take a picture of that background light there and we ask Ian to stand aside, and we just take a picture of that light, this is a really, really good piece of advice, really, in terms of what to do when you're building your set with multiple lights. Set up your first light and take a picture, see what it's doing. Then add the next light, take a picture, see what it's doing. If it goes wrong, you know at every stage where it's gone wrong. If you set up all 8 lights to begin with, and you're trying to work out why it doesn't look the way it does in your head, you've got a lot to unpack. So just do it one light at a time. With this light on the background here, I'll take another picture of it for you now. We can see that we've got a really, really, really sharp vignette there against that background wall. Nice circle. I'm going to move it even closer, just there, because I want that to be really, really, really small and concentrated in the area. The fall off isn't much. That looks great. That looks cool now. Okay, so now Ian, I want you to come and stand here for me. And I want you to turn so you're facing towards this side here. Lovely. We're going to move this light completely out of the way. Almost. And we're going to move this light in here. So this will be our second main light here. Just a small softbox. And again, I'll go back to what I said at the start. The size of the softbox will relate to the size of the area that we're looking to photograph. in terms of the actual portrait itself. So this softbox, not particularly big at all, around about 60 centimeters. So we're really only looking at doing a small area here of Ian to photograph and to light and to expose for. We're going to set the light up here nice and simple. Pop it up. There we go. And we're going to angle the light just round and behind here. Hold the gun up nice and tall here for me, just like that. Move the hand round here for me. So stop there. Turn the hand this way with me. That's it. So we can just see knuckles, just see a little bit of the ring here. I want this to come down a little bit lower so I can see the Logan. And I want you just to look here as if you've just seen a ghost. We've actually got a ghost in the studio. You've seen it right at the start. Let's see Slimer properly. Yeah, there he is. He's been banished. He's looking at the wall. That's it. Looking straight towards there for me. Drop the chin down. Just that's good. Yeah, no, head up. That's good. Perfect. Got this. God, it's like you've seen a ghost. One more. Still go back where you were. Looking down towards the gun there for me if you can. And now looking straight in front of you there before we see the ghost. Go! There we go. Nice and simple. Perfect. One more little trick that we can do. That little background light is giving us that little circular action. Can you see that in the background? Every action has a subsequent reaction. So what we're going to do, I'm just going to angle this up just slightly there to give us a sharper fall off, sort of up and into the picture and into the direction of where Ian's looking. Let's just see how that looks. 3, 2, 1, go! Good. Beautiful there. Gives us that bright white and gives us something a little bit different. And the simplest thing you can do to really accentuate that and really change things, white's a great color to work with because it'll reflect any color and show it as is. So what we're going to do, a little bit of sticky tape, little gel that you can pick up online for not much money at all. You're going to stick it over the reflector cup there. It's that simple. There's no bulb in there to get too hot. Give us a nice aggressive expressions if you're about to zap that ghost there for me. 3, 2, 1, go! And one more for me. 3, 2, 1, go! And give me a scared one, go! Yeah, nice. And by adding the green, we've given ourselves a slightly different colour there to work with. Quite bright in the middle there. And then if you adjust the exposures on different gels in the background, they'll give you different colours. There's a guide to working with a white background for 1 light, 2 light, 3 light and 4 light, and how to get creative at the end. If you've enjoyed the video, tell people about it. Look at the other ones on the channel, watch them. Because we need people to watch the channel, we need watch hours. Enjoy it, tell your friends about it. All the best. Woo! Thanks, man.